Hey, hello, good evening. Sorry, we're a short amount of time late. Good evening. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, hiya, I'm Paul.
I'm Jason.
Together we are
Those vegan guys.
and we do a live stream every week. Saturday, Friday, then Sunday. Saturday one week, then Friday, then Sunday. And today's Friday, 9 p.m. in the lounge. Next week will be Sunday, 3 p.m. in the kitchen, possibly cooking something. The week after that will be Saturday, 8:30 p.m. in the kitchen, eating. So there you go.
It's a simple clarification of our live streaming schedule. So yeah, a couple of minutes late this morning. You know what?
Morning.
This evening. Well, that pretty much sets up the entire next thing that I was going to say. Prefacing with, it's going to be a short one tonight.
It is. We're kind of exhausted.
It's been a week.
It's been a year, honey. It's been a year.
But more specifically, it's been a week. It's been emotional. You know, we're on a bit of an emotional roller coaster at the moment for various reasons. Not just obviously what we've talked about previously about what's going on in the world, but also, you know, some of the stuff that's going on in our personal lives as well. You know, it's pretty full on, isn't it, at the moment?
Extremely full on. I wanted to just mention a couple of things. So anyone that saw my Trump won vlog that I did in the kitchen blocked quite a lot of people from the comments of that vlog. I mean, even some people saying things like, been a fan for a long time, but completely disagree with you. Check. Oh, it's your first comment on the channel. Been a fan for a long time. Know that comments are really important to YouTubers. First comment is to disagree with my views about an horrific human being. Anyway, I wanted to say one of the things that's really bothered me this week, I've been keeping my eye very closely on X and on Blue Sky, which is wonderful, by the way. If you're thinking of an alternative to X, Blue Sky is lovely. And Threads is not too bad either. So I've been keeping an eye on all these social media platforms and watching them. And one of the core things has been people, families falling out and friends falling out. So I wanted to say this to you all. Right. I don't like Trump at all. I don't like who he is as a person, his morals. Our equivalent over here is Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
And I had a big talk with my mother a couple of elections ago when she voted for Boris Johnson and said she didn't like Jeremy Corbyn. And I was like, why? Oh, I just don't like him. No, you can't say that. It's not about that. It's about the policies. It's about, you know, but I didn't fall out with her. So maybe if you are angry at family and friends for voting Trump, maybe ask them why. If they cite immigration as an issue, you can always say, hang on, Biden came up with one of the most conservative new ways of dealing with immigration. The group that put it together was headed by a conservative. That conservative was threatened by a Fox News reporter saying, if you bring this through, I'll ruin you. And Trump told his people, don't let it pass because I want to run on immigration. So that's a moot point. And I'm sure that you people in America know a lot more than I do, even though another thing that's bugged me is people said, Paul, stop watching legacy media, stop watching the BBC. And immediately I'm like, oh, wow, you don't know me at all, do you? Number one, I never watched the BBC. Number two, yes, I watch legacy media and alternative media and YouTube media. Way more media than many of you who are telling me not to watch legacy media. Way more than you. Because I'm informed. So yeah. Needed to get all that off my chest. Sorry, we're folk saying things.
The chat is thick and fast as always. As always, we'll always touch on politics. You know, it really is.
Well, it affects us all. It affects the world. It affects who we are as people, what we, you know, how we live, how we interact with each other, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I think ultimately, wherever you are in the world, I think sometimes, and I don't like to talk about it much because, and I said to Paul earlier on today when we were chatting briefly about it, I said, like, you know, it does get to a point when it can get a bit depressing. Do you know what I mean? Oh, before I forget, by the way, Oracle, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you all of you for being here on a chilled Friday night in the lounge. Many of you know the score. It's short and sweet tonight. But it's not all doom and gloom. You know,
no,
and
I think
that
done now.
It's that whole thing around like when do you want to mention these in a second?
Yeah.
All we can do, a lot of us, because sometimes you can feel incredibly disempowered, that in your heart and your soul and your brain, you want to try and affect change in a bigger way. And it's not always possible. So what we've got to try to do, in my humble opinion, is to continue to lead by example and to continue to put love out into the world and just keep being your best self. And that applies to anything to do with politics, really.
One of the lovely things sent to us by Linda Jo in a parcel of lovely things recently. Come on.
It's not having any there.
Why is it not?
I don't know. Because it's focused on your face.
Mint flavour choc thins.
Yes.
Tesco finest.
Let's see how fine they actually are.
Let us.
We're breaking with tradition tonight. We're having a tiny chai. A tiny chai and a fancy mint. Oh, it's just like a really big chocolate button. But with a mintiness. Nice. I like that. That's good. Oh, yeah. I didn't quite expect it to be so busy right from the get-go, but we've got 96 in the house. The chat is thick and fast. It's lovely to see us all.
Imran, I'm glad you've said that. I disagree with you, by the way, just for the record, because it's something that a lot of people have said. Only one of the people running was an adjudicated rapist, had 34 felonies against them, incited an insurrection, and has lied over 30,000 times at last documentation throughout his campaign. I completely agree with you about the Israel-Palestine. It's a horrific situation, and Israel are right now, well, from the start of this, acting like terrorists. They're talking about annexing the West Bank. They've absolutely destroyed the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, and then they've started on Lebanon. It's horrific. I believed, and I could have been completely wrong, and I'm not an American, so I've got no say in the matter anyway, but I believed that Kamala would have changed her stance on that issue, but she was only VP. Yeah.
It's a rubbish
Keir
situation.
Refusing to say it's a genocide in Parliament just till the day.
Because none of them have got a spine. That's what it is. That's what it boils down to. None of them have got a spine. And that's why I dip in and out of politics. But ultimately, having been quite close to it, having stood as a Green Party candidate, there aren't many out there that have actually got a backbone and actually say it for what it is. And that's across the board. And that, again, going back to what I was saying before, that in itself can be quite demoralizing. As a you know, a woke, and I use that term, you know, slightly tongue-in-cheek, but as somebody who, you know, like yourselves, like many of yous, are quite switched on and tuned into what's going on, again, that is quite demoralizing. It's quite upsetting when you look at the landscape, whether it's America, here, other parts of the world, you know, France. You was talking about it before, weren't you, with what's been going on with the football and the, you know, the protests over in France as well, that our governments are not willing to listen to their constituents, their people, and act accordingly, because there's too much money and too much power at stake. And I think that's what it boils down to a lot of the time. Anyway, I am rapidly losing interest in politics, to be perfectly honest with you, for all of the reasons that I've just stated previously. I'm going to have a quick scroll up the chat.
Just rinsing the cups, lad.
Rinsing the cups, yeah. Yes, Flanny. Yes, there are not many though. I like to think that in the distant future, that these people will be remembered as champions for the cause and for the greater good. And of course, we can only talk about what we see. But like a lot of you, I think, a lot of cross-referencing, a lot of exploration of different sources of information from different organizations and people, you know, to try and really get an informed opinion, as best as we possibly can, you know.
Well, you know, there's some things though that no matter who tells the story, the core of the story is still the same. Matt Gaetz resigned 2 days before the ethics committee was to release a report about him possibly sex trafficking, and by that having sex with an underage girl who was willing but still underage and crossing state lines with her, at the promise of AG, Attorney General, with Trump. And then they're talking about recess appointments, which means making appointments to Trump's regime while Congress is out of session, so that they don't ask questions, and, you know, like they do with everybody. It's crazy. It's all absolutely crazy.
Well, you know what? Whilst we're on the subject,
the world's crazy.
While we're on the subject of horrible things and controversy and all that, way down in the pecking order, of course, but we may as well touch on it because Adam's mentioned it. A couple of other people have mentioned it in that vegan group on Facebook and shared it. I think Trish shared it. The controversy around the vegan bao buns.
Oh yeah, so Aldi have pulled there and asked for people not to eat their 8 vegetable bao buns that we've eaten in recent meals vlogs. Only once, thankfully. Oh no, twice.
I think twice, yeah.
Twice we've had them. Yeah. That are said to contain duck meat and sesame. Yeah, clearly marked vegan. So watch out for that. Here's the thing about the world, right? Oracle of Whimsy, I've read many of your posts. I would urge you not to trust Netanyahu. Always. I don't think the man has the best interests. He's like many other world leaders. He is his main interest, and he has his eyes on Gaza and the West Bank. Of course he does. Of course he does. That's what this has all been about. This has been way overkill since October 7th, which was an horrific incident that I feel was kind of allowed to happen. Israel and the Iron Dome and the fantastic defense that they have there. I think that this world is run by a very small, this sounds conspiratorial, it's not at all, because it is. Think about it. This world is run by a small group of human beings, most of them white men, who lead countries and have mainly their own interests at heart. And I include England in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I go back to what I said before, because, you know, it's very easy to spiral with all of this stuff. And it's very easy for us to draw lines in the sand. You know what? Maybe at some point in the not too distant future, we should do a dedicated kitchen vlog on this one. On the whole issue of divide and conquer.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the most famous 3 words in the world, isn't it?
It's very easy for us, even within our own community, and we've said this before, if you look at the vegan community, it is no different to any other community. Within the vegan community, there are genuine anti-Semites, there are racists, there are homophobes, transphobes.
Absolutely.
We're a microcosm of the rest of the world, and it's very easy for us to draw lines and just be like, you know what? I don't even want to talk to you anymore. You're so different to me. But, and again, going back to what Paul said before, it does sound slightly conspiratorial, but the powers that be rely on that. Religion has relied on that for thousands of years, that we can be, as a society en masse, we can be controlled, we can be led, we can be manipulated, all of that can happen through divide and conquer. And we're living in a time right now when news is so easily fed to us through so many different channels and outlets that we have to really all be switched on.
And you've got to watch news you don't like.
Yeah,
I truly believe that. I've sat and watched Fox News segments sometimes, and I can't stand Fox News. But I wanted to see, how are you spinning this story? Here's the story. Here's the crux of it. I found that out from lots of different sources. How are you telling it? It's very important. Anyway, yeah, it's been, all of that's difficult, isn't it? All the world stuff,
it goes back to what we said right at the start of the live stream this evening, is that when you're genuinely an empathic soul and you're really genuinely an empathic person, you can't close your eyes to what's going on in the world. So you've got all of that going on out there, and then you've got all of the personal stuff that we're dealing with internally.
And we've got a huge amount of personal stuff going on.
It's a roller coaster that's just massive highs and massive lows, but mainly lows. But I will say, before I forget, because I want to put a positive spin on this and highlight that throughout all of this, you have to keep pushing. You have to look for distractions sometimes for self-preservation.
Yes, you do.
And you have to continue to do the things, whether it's YouTube, whether it's music, whatever it is that floats your boat. You have to continue to keep doing things that spur you on and help you to keep putting out good and putting out messages out into the world. And where I'm going with this is a little tiny, sneaky little celebration to you 108 that are in 105. We just lost 3. Well, they're going to miss out then.
Bye. Bye then.
The 105 of yous that are here, many of yous that my music and my motivation have been a bit up and down of late for obvious reasons. I'm booked in the studio next week. So to all of yous that express support for my music and for the creation of my music and getting original music out there with powerful and positive messaging in it, I'm booked in the studio next week. I'm going to get some stuff recorded. And I am 99.9% certain, unless something goes tragically wrong, that I will be getting some tunes out before Christmas. Pushing myself. Do you know what I mean? It's important. It's important.
Excuse me on the chat then. It was moving while I was trying to pin and then I gave up.
Peter, thanks for popping in. Cheers, Imran. Connor. Will. Yeah, cheers all of yous. Thank you. Yeah, it's just that it is that whole thing, isn't it? Because we've kind of, we've gone 0 to 60 at the start of the live stream this evening, and it's full on at the moment. It really is.
Can I end, on the same subject, not the studio? I went up to the studio with him, by the way. What's it called, Jason?
Taylor's Sure 5 studio.
What a fantastic little place in Oldham. We've said the name now. Look it up. Fantastic little place. Beautiful.
There'll be a lot more coming, of course.
Yeah.
There'll be photos, probably a bit of video. I'll share as much as I can.
What I wanted to end with was two things. Check out as many news sources as you possibly can, even what you might consider alternative fringe news. I've resubscribed to Brian Tyler Cohen today. I find him an incredibly trustworthy source, really well researched with law experts and fantastic guests any road. And I might subscribe to TYT again.
You just needed a little bit of a break, didn't you, for a couple of weeks?
But please don't fall out with your family. We only get one. No, unless they are. Well, you can say your bit in a minute.
I will say my bit.
Because you can always say to people, look, I'm always going to love you, always going to love you, but I cannot agree with what you've done or why you've done it. So I have to pull away.
Yeah, no, that I do agree with. Yeah, I do agree with that. I just think
that's all I'm saying. Rather than I hate you because of what you did.
It's when you look at specific examples around, and I'd feel exactly the same if it was happening in this country. When you look at families that have been ripped apart because of their moral differences, and you know, just to throw a random example out there, you've got a mum and dad with a trans child who find out that their parents have voted for Trump. How do you even start to have a conversation around that? Like, that's a difficult one. And so I agree with what Paul's saying, and it goes back to what I was saying before about the bigger picture is that we have to fight against this whole divide and conquer thing. But when you're actually living in it as an empathic person, it's incredibly difficult for me to wrap my head around how you navigate that.
I want to love everybody. Call me a bleeding heart hippie. I do. Even the people that voted Trump. I care about them. I care about what happens to them and their children. I want them to be happy. I want things to go well for them. I don't hate them just because of one thing they did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed, and I think they should have researched more, but they didn't. And did you see Kate?
Yeah, you highlighted it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Talking
about that, yeah. The world.
It's tragic, isn't it? And Imran, yes, mate, absolutely. He is up there as honestly one of my one of the most respected and one of the very best at what he does.
I need to resubscribe to ZTO, actually.
Consistently.
Thank you, Imran, for the reminder. Mehdi Hassan is fantastic. English guy that we lost to America, but my God, does he do a great job.
He's needed.
He's one of the one I unsubscribed to everybody after the election because I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. I still don't, but you know, you have to accept it, don't you?
Yeah. I saw a question from Adam. Thank you all of you, by the way. Your comments with regards to going into the studio and getting some music, and it's great to have an artistic outlet, a release, a distraction.
And I'm not going with it. I'm saying, "Bloody go on your own."
There's a lot to get done in a relatively short space of time, so it's going to be proper, like, full on.
I'm so glad we did it because we both went up today and had a look and found out about this deal.
Yeah, it's a good deal. It's a good deal.
Like,
so
okay, book that.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Adam, yeah, I am a little bit nervous, mate, to be honest with you, but only a little bit at this stage, because I think, you know, it's all the P's, isn't it? Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So as long as I'm prepared, and I'm going to put a few hours in over this weekend, I'm going to get the bass parts, and hopefully I'm going to put some live drums down, fingers crossed, but I've got a backup on that just in case. But hopefully I'm going to try my best to get an old school, at the minimal, an old school single out before Christmas that's an A side and a B side, so it'll be 2 songs. You know, and I'm looking forward to going into the studio. I met Chris today at the studio. He seems like a lovely guy. And yeah, just going to do the best I can. But I'm excited about it. It's going to be great. And as always, the support from you all is massively appreciated. It really is. It spurs me on. And obviously the tracks will be going on Bandcamp and all of that stuff.
Love Rose says supplement news programs with reading. She's put neon, but she means Noam Chomsky. I highlighted it for a second. Noam Chomsky's excellent. Does anybody know randomly? This was a guy I used to follow his story a lot. What's going on with Mordecai Vanunu these days? I know he was sent down for an awful long time for revealing the secrets of Demona. I remember he wrote on his hand "kidnapped" in the van. Mordecai Vanunu. Does anyone know about him? Very interesting story.
Oh, Adam, only 2 weeks till penny drops on my doormat. Cannot wait. Nice one, dude.
Oh, thanks
nice
for the reminder, Adam.
Imran, yeah, Paul mentioned it to me before about Sylvester Stallone. Tragic, innit?
Oh, start over. Available in most bookshops. You can order it on Amazon all over the world and from Pegasus Publishers.
Pod. Yes, it should be. My music should be available through Apple Music. Yes, I think.
Yeah, because you go through TuneCore, don't you?
Most of my music, to be honest with you, there's not a lot out there. I've got 2 tracks at the moment that should be available and accessible on most streaming platforms.
And which ones are them, babes?
That is Choices, of course. For the song For the Animals that I released last year and performed at Vegan Camp Out, and I've had loads of support on that, and it's been amazing. And of course, 50% of the proceeds from Choices goes to Far's Animal Rescue Sanctuary.
I helped write it.
Paul helped write it, and the other 50% of the proceeds that have come from the sale of the track on Bandcamp is what has allowed me to continue to, to get the studio time, because studio time generally isn't particularly cheap. So, and that was always the plan. That was always the plan right from the very beginning, but it's just taken a little bit longer than anticipated. There's another song that I've got available on live streaming as well. Look to Him, which is a song about that I wrote after my father-in-law, Paul's dad Cyril, passed, and that's the song about him, and that's on there as well. So yeah, just type Jason Bromley or Jason Bromley music, and hopefully Choices and Look to Him should come up, and there'll be more to come, of course. So thank you. It's massively appreciated. There's a brand new song coming as well, which I'm recording next week, that I wrote. It's hot off the press.
Put the link in the comments.
The link to what? Choices?
Yeah.
There's another song hot off the press that I only wrote like 2 weeks ago called Canary. And that is going to be one of the 2 songs that is going to be on the new single. So yeah, I know obviously I'm well aware some of yous, I thought I'd copied it. I know a lot of yous are already well aware of Choices, but and I've supported it, and you've messaged me on Bandcamp, and I track everything. I see it all on there. I see the plays, when they're played, who's bought what tracks and when. It's a great little website for independent musicians and singer-songwriters and stuff. But I can't stress enough how appreciative I am of the support. Like genuinely, it's and I'm sure Paul's the same. Obviously, with Penny the Pigeon Queen, we're creative souls, and it goes back to what we were saying before about putting positive messaging and putting good out as much as we're able to into the world, and hoping that ripples are created. And I know that this community does the same thing. I know you all do it. You do it by being here. You do it by sharing.
Sylvia, I am going to look into an audiobook for Penny the Pigeon Queen. I'm going to. I think it'd be really interesting.
I think it would be. Yeah, definitely. And it'd be really nice to have your interpretation of the characters.
Yeah, but what if I cried when I read it?
Yeah, maybe try not to do that.
Because I cried when I wrote it.
Yeah. I'm going to have a quick scroll back up. Yeah, nice one, Adam.
Oh, for dinner tonight, by the way, we tried the new lasagna from Lidl, and it was lovely, wasn't it?
Oh, it was good.
We had half each with some fries and a bit of side salad. What a lovely dinner. Perfect. Meaty, cheesy, creamy, really good pasta. Lovely cheese top that cooked perfectly in the air fryer. Well worth trying.
You know what, Imran, just going back to what we were chatting about before, I'm going to highlight that. It's funny that when we were talking about it earlier on, and
because I saw the thing of Sylvester, and I was like, oh God, Sylvester Stallone, and he went, well, we've still got Arnie.
He was always my favourite back in the day, and he came good in the end. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, Cheryl, just wrapping Xmas prezzies, just Penny the Pigeon to arrive, and we are all done.
Oh, cool.
Good for you, Cheryl. That's organisational skills right there.
Yes, the book I have discovered now from even my next door neighbour who's an adult loved it. And said, oh, it really made me think, because you do that, don't you, when you're a kid, chasing pigeons, and it's not nice. And I signed a copy for her. Gave it for kids, actually. But I've had feedback from loads of kids now, and they've all really loved it, and I'm like, job done.
Yeah,
job done. I don't care what any adult thinks about it. That sounds awful. I wrote it for children. I wrote it to be read to children, and for those that can, to read it to themselves. I wrote it for them specifically.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I think we're reasonably caught up. There might be a couple of.
Well, it depends, because you've been scrolling up for that long now. There might be another 30 comments.
It's not moving that quick, surely.
No, it kept saying new comments, new comments.
Oh, nice one, Pod. Thank you for finding me.
Oh, brilliant. So he's on Apple Music. Yay! Jason Bromley on Apple Music.
I knew I was on Apple
Get him
Music.
on your iPod. Jason Power.
What? iPod.
Yeah.
iPod's like
Do people
1994.
They might still have them. Fuck.
Holly says, hey, have
Get
you
him on your playlist. Jason Power.
Have you two joined Blue Sky yet?
Yes. Mentioned it right at the start of this. We're on Blue Sky and Threads as those vegan guys. So please do find us and follow us, and we'll follow you back. Let's all follow each other and try and be nice. Yes, even Trump supporters. I don't agree with what he did, and I'd love to have a right good chat with you about why he did it. But, you know.
I know why they did it, and that's what I've said. We need to do a kitchen vlog at some point in the future about it, and do a bit of a deep dive.
Yeah.
Because it can get dark, and it can be demoralizing, and I ain't in the position mentally or physically to talk about it right now. Because when you start to do a real deep dive on it, and you start to look at what's going on with the level of manipulation, it's on a scale that is unprecedented and like nothing we have ever seen in the entirety of history and human existence. It is next level stuff. But maybe that is something that we'll talk about in a dedicated vlog at some point, because as we've alluded to before, what is becoming increasingly apparent, particularly on social media and YouTube as well, is that controversy and controversial stuff gets more views. You know, not that that's what it's all about, but anywho.
Oh, hi Wendy, and welcome to the channel. Isn't Beck Hall an amazing place? And for anyone who's not seen our Beck Hall vlog search the channel for Beck Hall and you'll find a great vlog about our visit on the day it went 100% plant-based.
Still got very fond memories.
We can't wait to go back.
Very fond memories. Yeah.
We really desperately, at some point when we're able, need a break.
Yeah. As soon as we're able to, and we're aware of it, and we're, I think we're doing quite well in terms of just kind of managing everything at the moment. In terms of just a pat on the back. And I think that's, it's really important for everybody. It's something that I learned years ago working in the NHS and working in health and wellbeing projects and stuff like that is, don't forget to acknowledge your own successes, acknowledge your own achievements, and occasionally, whether it's physically or metaphorically, give yourself a little pat on the back and just sort of say, acknowledge and be like, nice one, done good today, done all right, managed. Yeah.
Alex, you didn't end with a question mark, but I assume that's a question. Is it cruel? Is racing pigeons cruel? Is doing that kind of thing to any animal cruel? Probably, yeah. But for people who just want to keep them and breed them and look after them, it's one of those. It's like there are some people who are so extreme as they shouldn't have pets.
Yeah. It's where do you?
Pigeons and humans are. It seems to be a really good relationship in some cases,
and
they're really well looked after.
Yeah,
mostly in sanctuaries, but still,
funnily enough,
and they love and trust humans, which is why they come to us in town centres and say, "Do you still love me? Could you give me a bit of food, please?"
Yeah, I was gonna mention something about canaries because I've done a bit of research on canaries, but I don't want to spoil the surprise, so I'll just say on that exact subject, you'd be surprised how many coal miners cared deeply for the canaries that they took into coal mines that died as a pre-warning to the carbon monoxide and other things that were, there in the coal mine that could kill the humans doing the mining. There's more to come. There's more to come on that.
Connor, I would urge you to do a little more research on the policies of Kamala Harris. It's too late now, she's lost. But I think that the fact that people really didn't look into it is one of the big problems. Look into it more, and you might be a little bit surprised.
Yeah, that's right, Imran. Being nice and all that. Very true. Yeah. It's a difficult time at the moment. We've said it many, many times over the years, that whole thing around like, we're quite open, fairly open and transparent as much as we feel we can be about,
Oh, nice one, Ryan.
Some of our own battles and stuff. But, we do remind ourselves a lot of the time that there's so many people out there that are fighting their own battles every day. And, managing your own stress levels is paramount. It's so important. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. Having some consistency and some escapism is really important. Oh, Jennifer, bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, darling.
Good.
We shall stay human, and we shall always stay by his side, because America is a wonderful place. Sometimes the people running things, not so much.
Yeah.
But
very much so.
Yeah, Ryan started a new job I showed it before. Started his new job. He started working in the prisons, hasn't he?
Yes. Oh, nice one, Ryan. Excellent. Wishing you all the best in that, mate. Absolutely. Well, yeah, Adam, the coal miners loved canaries because they saved the lives of plenty of coal miners. But what I didn't realise until I started looking into it in a little bit more detail is that actually a lot of them became incredibly upset at the fact that the canaries, many of the canaries died. And it was as a result of coal miners that the canary resuscitation machine was invented to actually resuscitate canaries that had passed out and were near to death as a result of the carbon monoxide and the other chemicals or whatever it was within the coal mines. It's fascinating. I've done quite a bit of research and looked into it. Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's horrible because it's once again another example of us humans using animals in a horrible way. But then that really weird, messed up thing that we have as human beings where we start to develop emotions and emotional attachment to an animal to the point where we want to save its life, but then we're going to put the life of that animal in jeopardy. We're messed up, aren't we?
Connor says, I'm green all the way, also stood as a Green councillor, but you don't know what one of the main candidates' policies were. Just saying, if I was going to vote Green, I'd want to know that the guy I was going to vote for or help to promote the party knew what was going on in politics. Just, you know, it's very important to be informed. To everybody, be informed, be informed, be informed. Don't read one website, look at one news source, take in as much as you can. And it's hard sometimes, but you have to get to the crux of, oh, okay, so that's what they're planning to do. They've said it this way, they've said it this way, and they've said it this way, but the core of what they're planning to do. And I would invite everybody to go to X and carefully read Donald Trump's posts on there since he won the election, just so you know what's coming, because he's not been quiet about it. None of it.
Oh, bless you, Adam.
2 little girls and Christmas make Adam a grumpy boy.
You got to do what you got to do, haven't you? You've got to do what you've got to do.
Has anyone watched Hogwash? No. Joey Carbstrong's got he's got 2 new documentaries out, actually, hasn't he? He's got Hogwash and a shorter version of it, or something.
I only just managed Christspiracy. I only just managed to get through that. So it's difficult sometimes, difficult viewing some of it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's cool, Ryan. Found out through my own research that a group called VPSG, Vegan Prison Support Group, has been going since 1994, mainly for prisoners in for crimes of conscience.
Oh, that's nice, actually. Nice one, Imran.
Oh, Imran, don't get me started, mate. I was mention this to Paul before. I'm like,
we've all got a supercomputer in our pockets.
We literally have access to the entire knowledge of the world in our pockets, and I can accuse myself of this at times as well, but not always. We spend a lot of that time expressing our opinions and often commenting on things that we maybe haven't got all the facts about, or that we just watch memes of videos of cats doing funny things.
Harrington Lewis in Manchester next Saturday for a concert. Any recommendations on places to eat? I think Flanny's already said the Allotment, which is true, right near the cathedral, beautiful. A bit more on the kind of, we would use the word posh. It's not posh by any means, is it? But the food is kind of like,
I think it's fair to say that it's Allotment. It's a little bit more whole food, plant-based predominantly.
Yeah,
that's, I think.
But then there's a pizza place called Purezza, where we were last night. Incredible food. Wholesome Junkies has reopened inside a place called Hinterland, which is underneath the Buddhist Centre. These are all within walking distance of each other. So
Yeah. And
there's loads.
There's quite a lot in Manchester now, isn't there?
Yeah.
We're quite lucky in that regard. Excuse me. And of course, it would be remiss to not mention that the Vegan Society's 80th anniversary and some of the information that they've put out from their latest statistical data and research indicates that veganism is continuing to grow in the UK. And also that the data is showing that a lot more of the younger generation are now starting to recognize and jump on board with the vegan movement. So even with all of the doom and gloom, all of the naysayers, plenty of people out there that are saying, oh, you know, vegans had its time now and everything's slowing down and we're not seeing as many product releases and this, that, and the other, which to a certain extent, some of it, that is true. But we're still seeing an increase in veganism in the UK. Can't speak for the rest of the world, but the Vegan Society, incredible at what they do, been around for such a long time, putting out amazing recipes, amazing content and work, and I salute them. I absolutely do. I think they're brilliant.
So we're going to start bringing this to a close soon because we've got one more episode of. We're back on season 3 of Picard now because we don't like to be without Star Trek. Or are we going to just go straight in for Lower Decks?
No, we'll watch the other episode of Picard.
We're going to watch the other episode of Picard, then Lower Decks.
No, we'll maybe save Lower Decks for tomorrow.
Because if we don't have any Star Trek in our lives, don't feel right.
Well, you know what?
Star Trek shows you how it could be.
Yes, it represents hope. It represents hope. And if you look at the Star Trek, oh no, I don't even know if I want to talk about that. If you look at the Star Trek timeline in terms of what Earth went through, I know it's fiction, I know it's sci-fi, but we had to, as a planet and as a society in the Star Trek world, we had to go through World War III before they got to where they got to in terms of like peace, unification, kind of global acceptance, removal of the monetary system, you know, universal basic income, all that stuff. I hope that's not the case for us. Sorry, I did say that was a little bit dark and a little bit grim, but you know, we got to live in the real world, haven't we? And then escape from it when we need to escape from it. Like,
completely agree with you. Pod 6,000. Love so many people in America.
So I can read it.
And you know, just America in general. Don't like Donald Trump though. However, there are some American YouTubers worth following because they really do help me to keep up with the politics there.
Exactly, Imran. Yeah, they smashed it out of the park with season 3 of Picard. Gave us everything we wanted and more besides.
Ryan, that is very true. You don't necessarily need to be on a hill, though. Just tune into the vegan frequency, and you'll hear it. But actually, it's usually around 7:30.
Yeah,
because that's when we eat dinner.
Yeah. Give or take. I tell you what I would do for some of you that are interested, and thank you all of you for sticking around through our live stream because it's been a bit all over the place this evening. But most of you have still stuck around. We've still got 100 in the house.
72 million, Adam, get your numbers right. 71,998,000 something voted for Kamala.
Yeah.
Just under 72 million.
What I will do when I'm in the studio later this next week, I will try and get at least one picture and I'll share it on our Those Vegan Guys socials and on the community tab on our YouTube channel and obviously on my Facebook Jason Bromley Music page, obs. Just to give you like a little bit of an update and let you know what's going on. Yeah, exciting stuff and stuff that helps to keep. I don't know about you, but you've got your things, I've got my things. Helps to keep us on the straight and narrow a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah,
a little bit.
I'm already working on the second book, following on Penny the Pigeon Queen. Somebody just asked if we ever make our own garlic bread. You should watch watch our meals vlogs. Sometimes when we're having a pasta meal but we haven't got any garlic bread in, if we've got some Sheldon's muffins in, I'll toast them. And you can buy that new little garlic butter pot now in some of the supermarkets. But if you can't, I just mix some I can't believe it's not butter with crushed garlic. Lightly toast my muffins, spread them with the garlic butter, put them in the air fryer for 2 minutes. Garlic bread.
Yeah. Ryan, it has been a bit of a chaotic live stream. Glad you've loved it. We always love being here. If we weren't genuinely up for it, we wouldn't do a live. We'd just be like, we're going to postpone and have a night off or whatever. But we enjoy being here. It helps us. It's like we always say, it's wonderful to connect with you all. It really is. It's great to hear it, read your comments, answer your questions. And just generally, I think it feels good for all of us to just connect with like-minded people, particularly, as we've said in the live this evening, when we're going through difficult times, which it does feel like many of us are at the moment.
I've just added the link again to Choices because the proceeds are split right down the middle. 50% goes to Jason and 50% goes to FARS, Farm Animal Rescue Sanctuary in Warwickshire, which we're big fans of, big supporters of, and we love very much.
Yeah, and also just on that note as well, if you go to my Bandcamp page, you're more than welcome to listen. I've got 2 EPs on there. You're more than welcome to listen to the tracks on there. You don't have to buy them. You can just listen to them. And they're available there to just have a listen to. So, yeah. But we shall wrap up now because we had intended to just do a quick half-an-hour catch-up with you all. And we're heading up towards an hour. Typical us. But we are going to wrap things up now and call it a night, I think, aren't we?
Yeah. I have to answer that one from Ryan, though. Where would you start with Star Trek?
Where would you start with Star Trek?
I would say Next Generation.
If it's
and grit your teeth throughout the first series.
If it's specifically for you, Ryan, where would be the best place for you to start with Star Trek? I'd be tempted to say Strange New Worlds. Pike.
No, to start with Star Trek.
Yeah, what series of Star Trek to start with?
Yeah, I know.
Strange New Worlds.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. It's just my humble opinion. In terms of anybody with kiddos, Star Trek Prodigy, Netflix,
Penny the Pigeon Queen, Pegasus Publishers, and Amazon. For those people with kids.
Should we wrap up?
Yeah.
We're done. Bless you all for being here. Thank you. And if it's been slightly chaotic, we do apologise. But thank you all for sticking around.
Love you, mister.
Love you.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Major thanks to our patrons, our channel members, people who've given us a lovely cash gift on here tonight. Thank you so much. And every one of you that watches the channel, takes the time to comment and maybe even occasionally share our stuff. All of that stuff helps us as YouTubers, and we really appreciate it. Thank you for being here tonight. We really enjoyed it. Hope you've really enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one. And until then, please be excellent to yourselves and each other. Bye, loves.